Folks, I've been scanning Normandy for I don't know how many hours, 4 or 5 hours again. This lake is so difficult. It's so stupid deep. It's hard to find any shallow water at all. Now I finally found some weird man-made cover. It's like a straight line. But there is fish around it. I already saw. The most likely bluegill. I want to catch a few fish before I go home. Hoping there is one big crappie there and I yank it. No. Ain't gonna be. Oh, it is a crappie. But this is not a keeper. Even though it might be 10 inches, but okay, I'm not keeping fish that small. I'm not keeping fish that small. I don't think he was a keeper. He ran very fast. He ran like a bluegill. Somebody is cooking barbecue and it smells really delicious. And I'm very hungry. What is this? Man, it is another crappie. One bluegill and 2 crappie. Okay. Alright. Alright. Maybe I will catch one good crappie. And if I do, I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. I am so fed up with this lake. This lake has been showing me the finger every time I come here. Can't even find bluegill, folks. There is no bluegill in the shallows. There's no shallows. If the whole bank is a feature, then there is no features. Then you don't know where the fish is gonna go. You need the bank to be empty, empty, empty. And then on one place you have features. And then the fish is gonna be there. That's another crappie, folks. It's another crappie. Now this, interesting, this is giving me ideas. This is giving me ideas of making my own cover then. Because this cover obviously works. Because TWRA has put a ton of cover on this lake. But they either put the cover on places where crappie don't want to go, or they just don't like that cover. But there is no fish on the cover where TWRA has put. Don't waste your time. I checked all of it. Fish don't like it. This one, however, seems to hold fish. You gotta fish it from the right angle, but if you do, maybe I make my own. This Varivas line, Twitchmaster, I told you it's so soft, almost like braid, including some of the disadvantages of braid, like getting knots around the tip of the rod fish. I mean, it's just super supple. At the end of the day, that's why some people don't like soft braids. They like coated braids. Sometimes your strength is your weakness. Sounds like a Chinese saying, Chinese wisdom. Your strength is your weakness. I sound very smart right about now. Yeah, this cover seems to work. Just get a bunch of 2x4s and just make one row with them. You don't need multiple rows. Yeah, folks, Normandy has been very unfriendly lake to me, and the worst lake in Tennessee seems to be Tim's Fort. This lake is just terrible. It's 150 feet deep everywhere. There is nothing to fish but docks, and these docks are difficult to cast around, or some of them you cannot cast under. This shooting docks business, I don't like this business. I don't like it at all. I'm not there to hunt meat. I'm there for the pleasure and getting hung all the time. And I looked at navionics. There's no shallow areas on this lake. You have to go all the way up a creek to find some shallow water. But then what if there is no fish there up this creek? You just drove like a few miles up some stupid creek. And creeks are more difficult than the main body of the lake. Creeks are very iffy. They can be hit and miss. This was a crappie. I felt the typical crappie head shakes. Tim's Ford is, oh my God. Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. You know what happened? I cast right on top of the wood and I pulled it right away. I pulled it right away so I don't get hung. There was a fish on it already. There was a fish, but this did not sink. So there must be fish very shallow over there. Maybe I'm fishing too deep because this did not have time to sink. I pulled and the fish was there already. Why is the float not getting up? Is it hung or fish? Yeah, Tim's Ford is terrible lake. Now, even there, I see a good challenge because if you put cover on the right places, you can catch some state record crappie. This lake being that deep, the anglers have very few chances to molest the crappie. Only during the spawn. Once the spawn is done, all of these crappie are gone. The problem is there's no good place to fish. Like, I want to set up on some flat, shallow piece of cover. Here we go. And I want to catch 10-15 fish from the same spot. Is this too much to ask? I haven't seen spots like that on Tim's Fort. Somebody wants to show me some crappie spots on Tim's Fort? Let me know. You know what? Let me change the float and the lure. My other float has a Nico worm. I think they saw the trout magnet too many times. The advantage of fishing with a boat, you can use a lot of rods, and I have my floats with different lures tied on, like the bass anglers. That way, when they get wary of one lure, I can switch it around and scrape a few more fish from the brush before I get out of there. This is not a crappie bite though. Oh, it looks like a crappie. And they surface immediately. See, I just switched the lure. All of these are black nose, so these are crappie stocked by the TWRA. They are stocking this lake, Normandy. They're stocking it heavily. And also the size that you catch here, even though this brush is small, but I caught some good crappie out of here. I caught a 13.5 that I put on video. And when I caught that 13.5, I caught also several over 11-inch crappie on the same day. But I couldn't even catch 10 crappie that day. I had 6 or whatever, 7 crappie. They were all fat keepers. I don't know if it's too deep there. Well, there's a fishman, that's why it doesn't want to sink. I might be fishing too deep, folks. See how I switched the lure and got a few extra fish? I think I'm fishing too deep because my float always sits down and I get a bite. Even now it's sitting down. Yep, I think I'm fishing too deep. Look what I'm catching. Percy Priest is the only lake from where I have no complaints. Every time I go, I find some fish somewhere. Sometimes I have to scan a few hours. Most of the time I have to scan a few hours. But eventually you find some fish. And you find a good school with good size, 1 or 2 fish good size. I think the biggest I got from Percy Priest was 13.5 inch. And I actually gave that fish to my neighbor. I might switch back to the trout magnet, just reduce the depth. Because this is my 8-foot rod. Also the float is a little bit heavier. I use it for fishing deeper and fishing in the wind. Everything is a little bit deeper. I don't need to cast far or fish deep here. So I would rather use the other rod because it's lighter. I did change the lure. Whoa, man, this bluegill is bigger than some of the crappie I caught. Man. I was scanning for beds too, folks, not just crappie cover. I was scanning for beds. I have not seen one bluegill bed on Normandy. I don't know if Normandy has bluegill beds. It's gotta have them somewhere. Otherwise, how do bluegill spawn? That float never lands where I cast. That's why I like the heavier one a little bit more. It's more accurate when there is wind. And this wind is supposed to be in my back, but then because it's variable, every now and then it will change direction just a little bit and your float is gonna go all the way over there. Man, I cannot believe I have not caught one good fish out of here, bluegill or crappie. How is that possible? Let's try something else, folks. The wind is blowing my float around too much. Let's try some kind of twitch business. Let's try some kind of twitching business. Not twitching, actually. I have a Charlie Brewer. I glued this lure, I don't know how many years ago. Is the tail kicking? Oh yeah, the tail is kicking. And we're fishing back with the eradicator. Let's see if we get some with the good old Charlie Brewer. Fish. Good old Charlie Brewer, folks. Man, I forgot how much I love the eradicator. I absolutely love this rod. I have 2 of them. Maybe I should buy 2 more and just stop buying rods. Just fish eradicator for the rest of my life. Sell everything else. I love eradicators. Cannot do any boat flipping with this. This line is super thin and super old. I haven't fished this rod since last year. I just love it, man. Lobbing is the most accurate. Fish. Go Charlie Brewer. Go Charlie Brewer, go. You go Charlie. Let's try to snap the tip of one of my eradicators. I know that's not the best angle. Look at this color. They hit him pretty good. What is this? Pumpkin and yellow? There we go. Go Charlie, go! Charlie O! Charlie O! At least I found one brush today. Have a little fun. Release a little bit of negative energy. Usually I have nothing but positive energy when I fish. But after 4 or 5 hours of scanning and 0 fish caught, it starts to get to you. Here we go. It's not that big. He's just running. He's just running, folks. Shoop. He might make 10 inches if I really stretch him hard. Probably not. What's going on now? She's tilted. Means we have a fish. Folks, as much as I like to catch fish after fish, I'm getting kind of tired of this. The problem is they're all babies. I mean, I haven't had, dangerous cast, but I'll leave it. I haven't had one keeper, folks. I catch one more fish and I'm getting out of here. Unless this is a 2-pounder. I'm gonna go, just drive around. At least find some more brush like this. I think this brush will always have small fish here. What is going on now with my float? It's kind of tilted. Yeah. I still see fish here, but they are so small, it looks like a cloud of minnows. And I had enough of these guys. Hi folks, thanks for watching. At least you enjoyed some beautiful scenery here. If not for the bitching of this dog, would have been a great experience. Thanks for watching anyway. And come out. Got hung on the barb. And I'll see you soon, folks. Bye bye.